What it is, what it ain't, and what it do. We are back for another Me Acting Up hour. Right now, it's uh, Be Free, along with Brother Mackie. How you feeling, Mackie?
Man, I'm feeling like I'm at one of the HBCU great games with that intro. Big shout out to Brother D. I felt like I was at the stadium.
Shout out, shout out. Yeah. So we gonna jump we gonna jump back into it. We'll get into a few scores and then we'll just kind of talk as we wind down. We in the thick of conference season. Uh and getting ready for that postseason look. You got as always, those who are contending for playoff runs. And then you got the option of Celebration Bowl, Florida Beach Bowl. So we're getting excited about the postseason coming up and the opportunities. Um, so before we get started, and we also let me say this: we have coming back none other than the namesake himself. Ken Free Jr. is gonna come back on the show. He said he enjoyed everything last week, so we're gonna bring him back on in a second. I think he's in the background finishing up with makeup and everything. He gotta get pretty fine. But
Gotta be right.
but before we do that, just a couple quick shout outs. Just want to say shout out to the Swack and the Fool crew, the inspiration for this. Shout out to those brothers who inspired us to come and do our version of Me Acting Up, where we cover the MEAC CIAA and try to put a little twist on how we do things. So shout out to them. Shout out to my beloved Benedict College fam. I wasn't able to make it to homecoming for various reasons, but I was there in spirit, following my folks. Uh, Auntie, I know they say G Ho the greatest, but I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. That Benedict homecoming was out there looking like the Million Man March. That's what Benedict was saying. So uh, 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 shout out to the finest homecoming on earth. We'll say that. Mama
BC.
Key, you got any shouts before we bring Ken on?
Man, I'm gonna shout out all HBCU homecomings, which we are gonna dive into next week. There was a whole bunch of them this week, and a whole bunch of them next week, and a few the week after that. So shout out to all these students, alumni, fans, supporters, and big shout out to the WSSU crew: Tony Gunther, Charlie Clemens, Coach Terrence Graves down at Southern University, Kevin Surratt, and also big shout out to Timothy Pittman as well.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. So without further ado, I think he's out of makeup uh and wardrobe. Let's bring him in, none other. Kid Free Junior. What's going on, man?
See, that's why it was hard growing up with you.
But I gotta take my
Yes.
shots when I see because I'm
Oh
at a
yeah.
distance. I'm at a distance. You
Uh-huh.
can't beat me up. So
All right, whatever.
I do I
I
do what
hear
I can.
man.
I do
I
what
hear
I
you,
can.
man.
I
I hear
do
you.
what I can.
You heard there was almost a power shortage in Greensboro Friday night.
Why is that?
Huh?
Why was that?
Because Grimsley, every time they score,
Uh
they flash the lights
oh yeah.
and they hung up 54 on our Pirates. And so
I
I thought it
know.
was gonna be a power shortage
I
in
know.
Greensboro.
I know. We
But
ain't even gonna get into that. I was watching the 48. And those from Greensboro. No, that's
oh
biggest
my God.
rivalries in the area.
That
And
was
we came
crazy.
out on the short end, but that's all right. It's all right.
It
We'll
was
be back.
crazy. It's crazy. It's hard to believe. It's hard to
Hey,
believe.
and then a high school stadium with them flashing lights. I said, what y'all think y'all in Texas or somewhere?
I know, man. They
Where
big
we get that
time now.
where we get that type of budget? But anyway,
Especially Guilford County school system.
yeah.
But anyway, that's
But
another
anyway.
story.
But yeah, we back at it. We back at it and I guess he might have had some technical difficulties.
I
But we go
know. You better get back. Where's your
We're gonna
boy
run.
D at?
Well, D has some things. He'll be on in a minute. He has some obligations, but we gonna get into it nonetheless, man, because we got a show to do, and and
Oh
and
yeah.
and they'll jump in where they feel. But the MEAC kicked off their conference season. So as you see, the
Oh
schools
yeah.
running across South Carolina State handle business against
They
Delaware
did. They
State, 35-7.
that you know
Howard
that was something
Howard
else.
edged out Norfolk
I was
27.
surprised by the Central game. That was the
Well, Morgan is tough. Morgan started out the season looking like they were going to challenge for the title because they started with a strong victory to open the season. Then they were up until the final 30 seconds against uh, FCS opponent Akron, and then a fumble as they were trying to run the clock
right.
out, return for a
That's
touchdown.
been get
I mean,
that's
they
been getting
started
a
two
lot
and
of
zero. Yeah, they
that's
started 2-0.
that that fumbling at the end of ball games has been getting a lot of teams.
Yeah, so
Like Miami.
yeah, so ever since then, Morgan has been somewhat struggling to kind of get back into that rhythm, and
Oh
they've
yeah.
lost
Yeah.
some tough ones, and but they played Central tough in Baltimore on Thursday night,
They did. It was
and the
that was the surprise. Yeah. So,
there you go, and the Eagles will be
but
back
that's
against the Bulldogs
yeah,
next Thursday.
that's gonna be the game.
So,
That's gonna
so,
be the game right there.
so it looks like Central in these first two openers are going to have to prove that the title comes back through the Eagles' nest. But
Well, the good
uh,
thing is they played on Thursday, so they had an opportunity to watch South Carolina State play, and they got a whole week and a half to they get a lot of time to prepare for that one. I'm pretty sure they don't want to play like they did Thursday.
well, it's it's cold up in Baltimore in October.
Well, it ain't gonna be cold.
As
It ain't,
well,
well, it might
you
be a
know,
little chilly,
I
but
tell
still.
you a story for those that don't know, but those on the show know. I started my basketball career at the City College of Baltimore Dundalk campus in Baltimore, Maryland, and I remember it was the second day of October, and we had about 6 inches of snow. Now it might have been more than that, and all I had was a London fog jacket. So I learned my lesson early.
Yeah, that'll
Coach
teach
had to
you.
take me. Coach had to take me to the flea market to get me a big coat to adjust. I was used to anything uh, close to snow or ice coming in like January, February, but up there, when it gets to October, it's for real.
Oh yeah,
So I know
oh yeah.
Central was a little caught off guard by the weather. So Brother McKee is back. Let's talk like this. Let me ask this question. If Central, if Central, if Central gets through South Carolina State on Thursday, man, can we just say they ready to run away with it?
It's
Oh,
theirs to
Yeah.
lose. I think it's theirs to lose. I don't see anybody beating them.
I mean, Howard looks tough.
I mean, yeah, but still, they played a team that A&T beat. So I mean,
Oh,
I can't.
see,
Yeah,
uh, see,
I can't put much stock in
see, when
that
we
win.
see, let me do this now, cause see, Ken Jr. is kind of like D. I'm gonna have to do our statement. The views and opinions expressed by those of this panel.
Read the disclaimer on
I gotta do the disclaimer, man, because he
What's
go
the
he go
disclaimer?
he gonna
It's
set some
facts.
people off. You go
It's
set some
facts.
people off. Listen,
A&T
we
beat Norfolk this shit. That's A&T's only win.
Hey, Virginia State beat Norfolk, and then they lost to ECSU this past weekend, and Virginia State ranked was undefeated, but we gonna get into that a little bit later because I'm that was my prediction to win it
it.
all. So we gonna hold on to that. But but if they get past South Carolina State and the game is in Durham,
Yeah,
I feel
that's
like y'all, but I still think that Howard can present a challenge. Do
Where are
they
they
have
playing at?
enough?
Where are they playing at?
We don't
Where do they have Howard at?
know.
Is it in Durham or is it in DC?
It is in. They're going to play them the final game of the season in DC. No, no, second to last game. I'm sorry, November 11th. They will go to DC to play
No,
Howard, and
okay. Well,
They finished the
and
season at home against Delaware State, but they've got Norfolk State in 2 weeks, and as we say, Thursday coming up, South Carolina State. So going to be a deciding matchup. The Bulldogs coming off a strong win. It's going to be interesting. So, as we said,
hmm
um, and we and, and we talked about this.
hmm
The future of the MEAC, the Celebration Bowl, with the dominance uh, shown by Central, because pretty much once A&T left, it's been Central and South Carolina State.
Yeah, yeah.
But with their success, as the conference is down on team, is it enough to keep the MEAC? We're gonna hash that out again. I want thoughts on that. Is it enough to keep the MEAC? Because we saw A&T was dominant, and they said, "Hey,
Well,
we go on to greener pastures." Is
No,
this enough to
yeah.
keep
I don't know if they.
Let,
I don't know about the greener pasture.
Well, it didn't come
I
out
think
true, but that's what they were thinking.
let me
I. Yeah,
let's
well, they came up with a
let's
with some stupid reasoning for leaving, but go ahead, McKee.
so yeah. Hey Ken, how you doing?
I'm
Uh,
doing all right.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Let's step back just for one quick second. I had some technical difficulties about last week, Thursday night at up in Baltimore. When you asked
hmm
the question, um, "Can Central do it?" I think there's two words that describe the reasons why I think they can repeat, and those two words are Davius Richard. Uh,
Yes.
if anybody that saw that game Thursday night, you saw the fact that a lot that extra gear that they have to make a championship drive come on the legs and the arm of Davius. And for those that don't know, he's a strong Florida kid that is a beast to bring down. If you put a hand or arm on him, you cannot think that he is sacked. You got to bring this kid down, and his accuracy and his intermediate and deep pass game has improved over the years, which has NFL scouts looking. And so, yes, it was cold, but I'm also gonna kind of echo you a little bit, Ben, as well. That's a deceptive 1-4 team in Morgan State. Like you said, if was a fifth, we'd all be inebriated. But
Mm,
they did. You take that fumble away, and their morale is different. They've knocked off two uh, uh, good F1 top 20 in Richmond, who they beat. Then if they knock
yeah.
off Akron, they are really they got a lot of momentum. I will say this: their
And mind you, a
interior.
Richmond team that just beat the Aggies handle.
Very
Okay,
handily.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
And
But go ahead.
that's a good point. And in the interior, Morgan State can play with anybody. And Central found that Central didn't underestimate them. But like you said, the MEAC has always been an interesting conference, and you guys know this from living this as with your father as the commissioner. It's a conference that has always had various climates in one conference. You could almost predict some MEAC games within a margin of error based on where it was going to be played. And you were
Hmm.
often talking about bus rides as opposed to flying. And we would say things like, "Man, it'll be midway through the second quarter before they get warmed up." when you take that bus ride from Daytona Beach to Dover, Delaware, if you're not flying, and oftentimes they didn't fly. And, you could just say Delaware State was always that juggernaut because of the weather and because of the distance. And I think North Carolina Central had a little of that, like y'all said, for Thursday night. It was colder than Durham, North Carolina, up in Baltimore, and then it was a tough opponent. But the fact that they were able to eke out a tough win on the road like that, because Morgan State would beat North Carolina A&T, especially up there on some of A&T's best years when they were being rumored as a dynasty. Morgan was always a tough place to play. So I think that was a big hurdle Thursday night. And wow, that's my 2 cents on that. But I'll throw it back.
And I think they needed it. I think they needed a tough win. Yeah, they
Yes,
needed one
I
where
agree.
they had to play tough and it wasn't a clear, decisive game. They need that before South Carolina State because South Carolina State, that's going to be a tough game. That's going to
Yep,
be a real tough game.
it is.
Real tough. And this is Buddy Pugh's last hurrah. I need South Carolina State to ensure that they won't go after Coach Berry at Benedict College so that we can maintain our
Well, he's
dynasty.
doing
Or
he's doing so
Willie
good.
Washington. Well, I'm sending this out to Willie Washington. We need to make the move. We need to make the move, Coach. Let's go ahead and apply for the MEAC so we can
How
keep
many
Coach
does your
Jennings.
stadium seat? How many?
That's a great
What's
question. I
many
believe
Benedict's in?
12. I believe 12,000
Yeah, it's about 12. That's right.
or 11 and some change.
Yeah,
hmm
that's right.
Um, uh, uh, but we need to do something because I don't want him going down the road to Orangeburg.
And,
To Orangeburg,
That's gonna be
we
some.
can't. We can't. We can't have
and
that. We can't have that. But
we got some intel on that the other night. I don't know if we're able to say the gentleman's name,
uh
but
oh, uh oh, uh
we had an
Uh-uh.
inside source at the
oh, come on now. Hold on.
yeah, yeah. Oh, and big shout out to Dr. Wilson, the president at Morgan State. That facility looked great up there Thursday night on TV. From the turf to the stands to the signature stone that's all over the campus, they are really making the move to be uh, a perennial class act in the MEAC and in FCS. Big shout out
Hmm.
to Dr. Wilson on there. But yeah, so can we mention the name Saturday night who
Come
gave
on.
us some insight? So the legendary thespian leader, Mr. G. Hunt, kind of gave us some insight that it is true. And I hope this doesn't cause him any problems tomorrow in the office in Orangeburg. But it is true, right, that they are pursuing your head coach,
Well,
right?
they'd be silly not to though. I mean,
Well,
what's his record been the last 2 3 years at Benedict?
well, he hasn't. He hasn't. Well, we lost in the playoffs, but the last now that we're 8-0, that's 19-1 the last 2 years. And I think the year before that we were 4-6, maybe.
I mean,
Um, but but you know, nevertheless, last year first SIAC championship, we improved to another.
but that goes to show the man can recruit. I mean, you go
Yes,
from 4-6 to undefeated. I mean, that just shows you can recruit. He knows how to get it, and he knows what fits his system, what's going to work. I think one of the most interesting things, coaches know when you like, why, and McKee could speak to this more than anything. Coaches recruit for players who go fit their system and make their system work. That's why Duke's doing
Mm.
well, even though they took a big L, which Florida State's playing unbelievable, but he got players that believe in the system and can play a system. And that's what you got, a guy down there who's turned a program around, shows he can turn a program around, shows he can get kids in that believe in what he's doing,
yeah,
believe in the system, and fit well in what he's trying to do. And now, you become a hot commodity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I stand correct. He was 5-5 his first year. Then
Just
he changed
still,
it.
you go 5-5,
That
then
was
I
Five and
go
good.
five,
undefeated.
Yeah.
Then I
and
go
then
undefeated. Then I go undefeated.
last year 11-1,
Yeah,
and then now we're still undefeated. So overall 24-6. Um,
that's impressive. I mean,
but
that's just
he, yeah. So we got to do what we can. We need to make that move. I'm calling all Benedict alumni to let's rally so we can keep coaching tennis. I'm telling you, we
Y'all,
need this, man. We need this. Listen,
y'all got to rally
you don't want,
fast for it.
but you don't want the guy not to advance, do you?
he can advance with us when we move up. That's what I'm talking about. We need to
Okay.
move up. Think about it. Think about it. If we move up, we can renew that rivalry with South Carolina
Oh,
State.
without a doubt.
Especially now, we would be
What
playing on the
rivalry is
same
that? What
level.
what
We
rivalry is
could
that?
get those.
With South Carolina
Oh,
State, they can
oh,
build
no,
one
no,
with
no.
South Carolina
He
State.
taking shots. No, he taking
I,
shots. He taking
Oh,
shots.
excuse me.
Now,
Excuse me.
now, when I was there, when I was at Benedict, they only beat us by 2 points. So, and that was at Oliver C. Dawson. Now, after I graduated a couple times when we moved it to William Bryce, they put it on us pretty bad. So he's trying to take shots, say it ain't a rivalry when you dominate, but it's all good. But if we move up, you gotta show enough money make a classic with them. We can still play Allen, who has had success, who's a conference rival, right? It may even motivate Allen. Nah, I ain't gonna go there. But
I think
but
for Benedict to make a move like that, I think they're gonna have to convince somebody else from the SIAC to go with them.
well that's what they do. That's where the MEAC comes in and says, Benedict, I need y'all to talk, go across the street, talk with Allen,
Right.
and try uh and maybe we work out something where we trade home and home, let them use our stadium because Allen right now doesn't have a stadium, but it's very possible. And I think you have that money maker. You have uh 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 it makes regional sense to a degree with Central, the Virginia, because we traveling all the way down to Tuskegee and down through
Right.
Georgia. That's tough right there. That's tough right there. But we'll see.
yeah,
I ain't gonna
but
go full in that. That's
but
another show.
I well before you move off that, Ben, I joke I took a shot right there, but I've said to you many all this year that on Benedict versus South Carolina State this year, if the ball bounces right, would be Benedict's game.
Mhm. Yeah.
I took a shot, and at the rivalry, but this year, I looked at the body types of the players when they came on ESPN last week. They are tall, lean, and fast. And as Ken said, that coach he's a motivator as well. He has they can they're their off week is when they've not beaten somebody by more than 30.
Yeah.
So which shows
Right.
everybody in the SIEC and HBCU universe that hey, this is one of those teams that has an extra gear. North Carolina Central has an extra gear.
Mm-hmm.
FAMU has an extra gear. But
Mm-hmm.
it'd be interesting to see. I know like a Price Waterhouse Coopers level stress test or preparedness test just to see where Benedict is with financially to make that leap and facilitate it.
Right.
Because you could
Right.
argue a couple good years does not a jump make, but it
Well,
could.
the concern I can understand with Ben as well is if he does leave and go to South Carolina State, some of those players you talk about gonna be going with him,
But think about this.
and
Think about
coaches
this though. Think
will
about
be going
this.
with him.
We move up.
Why
we
not?
move up a division, it also you can go right up the street and we can go into 5 points and play the Gamecocks as well. And now you
It
have
makes
two
it more. It
Division
makes it
One
more
programs.
attractive. It makes it
Well,
more
yeah, because they
attractive.
don't want to see them playing a Division 2 program, even though we're ranked and we're top. But if we move up
Right, right,
F,
right, right, right.
FCS, hey,
And you'll get paid.
and
So,
yeah, so you
and you
move
get paid.
up, you get a money game because now it looks reputable for USC to play it. Oh, I'm sorry, we can't say that no more. Southern Cal,
U
not
of
but
SC.
the U
You gotta
of
say
South Carolina
SC.
now, and
U of SC.
now
Yeah.
South Carolina State becomes a conference rival. It makes all the sense, and you can mix another money game in there because of, there's so few teams in the MEAC, and
Right.
you can still play an Allen as a rivalry game. That'll be money. It's so many doors that can open. Come on, Benedict. We need to make the move. But let me get off that. Let me
But
get
but
off that. But,
but that's the
go-
challenge, Ben. That's the
yeah,
challenge with. I mean, I'm gonna use the word Ken used earlier, hot commodity.
yeah,
hmm
Hot commodities are always tough to retain, no matter what level,
Right.
because they're hot. They're hot. But Division 2 hot commodities and FCS hot commodities are particularly hard to retain for obvious reasons. The bag that South Carolina State is preparing to throw, I mean, they've got the Gucci bag in Oliver C. Dawson Stadium being filled right now with dead presidents that would, I mean, if you're married, it's going to be hard to say, baby, they're going to triple me down there. And it's 35 miles. On
yeah,
a day of traffic, it's 45 minutes maybe, but
yeah.
they're going to triple my wealth. But I'm going to stay here just because, you know, what we built here. And then you look on the news and there's a divorce proceeding. I'm just joking. But, you know,
See,
it's it's tough
It's
to
tough. It's tough.
yeah,
It's tough. It's
yeah.
tough.
And
And
two big
and
things being well,
no, go ahead, McKee. You right.
real quick. Two big things I would say, and I'm sure kids. Uh, I want to see your economic you know, are you viable economically to do it? And is that board of trustees committed with that president to take that step? Have you heard anything about that?
well, the one thing I know is that economically we got rid of a lot of debt, a lot of property holdings that we had that
Yeah,
weren't being developed. We got rid of
that's
that.
good.
We've also started graduate programs. So as a school, we are advancing more partnerships. Athletically, like I say, I haven't heard any reports of debt. Uh, but you know, it's always a challenge in a smaller school. But I think we're pretty stable. We hadn't had to cut any sports, uh, maybe a few departments, but but we hadn't had to cut any sport. Uh, so you know, and maybe the move up would encourage to increase. You know, you got growing sports in the South like lacrosse, field hockey. Let's step up in there. Let's get to it. Come on, BC, we can do it. We can do it. But that's a great question,
I mean,
and that's for the
right.
alumni and the board to get behind to make sure
And
that move.
that's why it's gonna be, it's gonna be hard to keep your boy there. And McKee brings up a great point when, it's funny. I was talking with one of your cousins the other day, and I think some of them are having a hard time understanding the levels of championship football and FBS, and and Division II and everything. And I think a lot of that stems from not understanding. Um, you it's I think it's hard for certain people, especially with the schools they attended, to understand the makeup of why A&T is here, why Winston State's here, and things of that nature. And it's just hard for people. People don't get it. They think they're talking apples and apples, but it's apples and oranges. And until we get the people like Benedict to start talking about apples and seeing big picture and seeing growth and seeing the money that you can make, seeing having the vision. And I think that's a big, big, big problem. There, we always used to say, or Dad used to say, mediocrity brings mediocrity. If you think you're mediocre, you're gonna stay mediocre. If you like being mediocre, you're gonna be mediocre. That's why when he made the decision he's going to Division I, schools left because they liked and felt comfortable where they were and did not see the potential and the money to make. We talked about last week the amount of money that you lose participating or staying Division II or whatever. But people are scared to make that jump or make the financial commitment. You know what I'm saying? It's just it's amazing to me, and that's why you're going to lose those young coaches, those rising stars at a Benedict or at a Allen or at a Claflin or at a somewhere because they want to go up and advance and be on that next level. Because even if you're at South Carolina State, Central. I mean, look at Central. They went and played UCLA. I mean, you can say, "Hey, we're going to California." You ain't gonna do that at Benedict College. You're not gonna do that at Savannah State. You gotta, this is where, and that's where these coaches want to be because, as McKee said, they want people at UCLA to see them coach and how they do on that level,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
then hopefully they can get to that. So I mean, it's one of those where, it's just like you said, where's the commitment? What do the schools want to put behind uh, to get that advancement, you know, or are they fine being where they are, dominating, like you said, and then just try to get another coach in there that can keep that culture, which is hard. I mean, McKee can tell you, changing coaches after, I mean, new system, new everything, it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we'll see. That might be a whole new show. That
Oh
might be
yeah,
a whole new show. We but we
yeah.
gotta do something. We gotta
Well, it's
we
it's
gotta
it's
we
it's you
gotta
don't
make
want to take away, like, you can't take away the significance of a CIAA, like what it did and what it stood and what it stands for. And some of those schools can't do the financial commitment to go Division I AA, as we used to call it.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
But but you will be surprised what a community will do, what alumni will do when you say, hey, this is where we want to get to. So we've got to put 10,000 more seats in this stadium. And then
Yeah.
we've got to get the financial. And one of the ways you can do that, if you utilize it, which it hurts Zay, and we can talk about that UNCG is starting to do, because since they don't have basketball, UNCG wants to make a commitment to be a better basketball program and a better uh, in their conference and compete basketball wise. They started a collective, which is NIL money. And not many black colleges are believing in that or think it's going to take away. And I'm like, that's another revenue stream that that's untapped or that could be used. Um, the money is out there. People want winners. People want their names. The way you do that, Division I is the way you do it. Kids want exposure. Kids want that chance to be on that level. And I mean, it's so you would be surprised with the amount of money. And I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just throwing this out there. I'm not saying I or anything. I'm like, there's a lot of money in Winston Salem, a lot of money in Winston Salem, and there will be a lot of money thrown at Winston Salem State if they decided to go to the next level.
Well,
Um,
well,
I
look,
mean,
slow.
now go ahead. I'm sorry.
Now I was gonna say slow down there because we got to get to the CIAA.
I'm just
But go
saying.
ahead, finish your part. Go
I'm
ahead,
not
finish
picking
your
on
part.
it.
Go
I'm
ahead,
not.
finish.
I just. But I'm just
No, I was
saying
looking for a
that
transition.
no, there. No, I'm just talking about there is money. There's money out there for these some of these schools, but that's another. Go on. I don't want
Yeah,
to
yeah.
take
Let's
away.
let's
That's
let's
another.
talk because that's a whole nother when we talk about the money and the mood. That's why I said that's a whole nother show. So pause right there. We go transition. We like to take a little pause before we. There it is. There it is. DOS Effects,
Man.
Virginia State's own. Shout out to the Trojans.
He
I
want
had, I had
effects.
to get it in there. The
Mm.
Miggity Riggedy style. So with that, let's transition CIAA. Interesting weekend for the CIAA. Fayetteville State is saying we are still the champions with a 14-7 win over a tough Johnson C. Smith squad.
Good game.
And then, like we said earlier, Elizabeth City State with the big upset over ranked Virginia State. Winston-Salem State keeps the momentum going, winning their homecoming against St. Aug's. Virginia Union looking like a preseason favorite, 57 to nothing over Lincoln. And then Bowie State back on the winning side, 40-11 over Bluefield. And then Livingstone, the surprise, pulling out a 1-point stunner against Shaw University. Shout out the Battle of the Bears, the Blue Bears and the Shaw Bears. I barely can stand it. But anyway,
Hey, and on that note, Ben, they call their homecoming down there in Salisbury Stone Coming. Seriously,
okay,
they
okay.
do.
I
Wow.
like that. I like that. Stone
Mm-hmm.
coming. So listen,
Yep.
so listen. Fayetteville State still undefeated in conference play, eking out close ones. Uh, does it kind of scare you that they win in close ones, or it doesn't matter long as they get in the dubs? Talk to me, McKee.
I mean, it's got to be a concern uh, for the Bronco faithful. They're in need. Coach Hayes is in need of that. Not a breakout win because they're a defending champ, but they need a defining win this year to get them going, so they stop playing with fire because they're literally playing roulette with the season right now. And as we saw, don't want to steal thunder, but as we saw with the Trojans up in Ettrick, Virginia, the boys from Ettrick, Virginia, you play with fire long enough, you get burned as they did this weekend with an unlikely opponent. Nobody saw that upset coming. So if Fayetteville State doesn't hit an offensive good place, right now the defense is keeping them in their stead. That offense has to get going, but they've been struggling to find a rhythm there. So, but our coach Hayes is they tend to peak at the right time, and the past few years they've gotten better as the season goes longer. But everybody's waiting now, like enough of this already. Let's get going because that northern foe is waiting on you.
Yeah, and Ken, I don't know how much you paid attention, but I listen. Now that both Union and Virginia State one losses, it makes that game even more than just a rivalry because they're the front runners. Because because Bowie State, who's the preseason favorite in the North, has 3 losses. So the best they can hope for is a tie if one or the other loses both of the final 2 games, which ain't gonna happen because Virginia Union and Virginia State play each other in 2 weeks. So uh numerically, Bowie's out of it. So it's gonna come down to that showdown uh in 2 weeks. And not to look ahead. Let me say that. We don't want to look ahead and look past, you know, uh, because Virginia State has to go to Bluefield State, but after seeing, uh, Virginia Union has to go to Bluefield State, and after seeing what happened, hey, anything can happen, and in Virginia State, they have to they have to they have Lincoln at home, and then the big game against Virginia Union. So and it's at Virginia Union. So you don't want to look past because as we see, anything can happen. But uh, it's going to be a big one in Richmond in 2 weeks. And I don't know. I'm still going with the Trojans. I still got them. But I said all that to say this. Fact of the matter is, both Virginia State and Union can put points up. With the talent they have, if they get 21 to 24, I think that's enough to take Fayetteville State off the throne. Now the point is, Fayetteville State defense, can they get to that?
Mhm.
But we scored against some good teams. They put up 30 points. Virginia State has the most of their outings. So yes, I don't know what the magic ingredient was, but ECSU got it. I don't know, but we gonna see. But I'm still rocking with the Trojans. Uh, I'm still rocking with the
Yeah.
Trojans.
Now,
Go
and
ahead.
this is totally unscientific what I'm gonna say, but
Uh-oh.
I mean,
Uh-oh.
Elizabeth, the Vikings have been scaring people all year, and they pulled off some good wins. But I'm gonna just dip back into what Ken was saying a little bit in the last segment before the break. Sometimes a creative leader even at the top. I mean, with the president they have down there. I know that's not X's and O's, but there's just something about innovation, creativity,
Right.
and excitement. Yeah, and
Right.
it's kind of top down. She is committed 100% to their coach,
Hmm.
and she empowered him to go out, and he stole some good recruits. The same way that some other folks, the same way we were talking about Benedict, I believe they stole some good recruits from South Carolina State. I mean, you
Hmm.
can just look at the roster. That to Ken's point again, when you give a head coach that confidence and purview, and you believe in that person, as he said, excitement can grow. You can make exponential leaps, and ECSU did one this weekend. I just want to throw that out to Dr. Dixon. I mean, she's doing a thing down
And shout out, she was just on what's the one-on-one with Dr. Nito Quabain.
there.
Uh,
Right.
we
Yeah.
highlight her uh, just on the phenomenal work she's doing down there, and I love the different world promo they did. Uh, she's doing her thing.
And Ben,
Shout out.
to Ken's point again, look, just 5 years ago, they were talking. There was a motion to try to close Elizabeth
Mm,
City State. And,
Right. Right.
and
Yeah.
yeah,
That's right.
that's
That's
right. And
right.
for those who, if you tell me we can't jump from Division 2 to 1AA, that's Exhibit A to say, hey, they
Right.
were down to under 1,000 students. Dormitories were vacant. They were one of the schools that went into the controversial $500 tuition uh, program with Western Carolina, UNC
Yeah.
Pembroke, and it would have been Winston-Salem State as well. But Winston-Salem State chose not to be a part of that because of how it was being insinuated and made you look. I just said that to say she has. You talk about resurrection. You go from almost closing to a vibrant, exciting basketball arena, a football program that is upsetting people, and who knows what next year is going to look like for them once they hit
Right.
that
Yeah.
recruiting trail again. Yeah.
Right.
Well, let's talk about
Well,
that.
I think
Go ahead.
that's no, just to man, McKee is such a good point when they let coaches coach, but
Yeah.
and and
Right.
uh
From the
and,
coach.
and
Yeah.
when you let coaches coach, I think uh I think I think Union and State gonna win their games to set it up for the showdown to be in 2 weeks. I think
Yeah.
it's going. I think that's going right there. I the key is going to see how Virginia State plays next week. I think they're going to win, but let's see how they recover after
Yeah.
being shocked. Because I don't think they expected to be in that position.
No.
Hmm.
So now we're going to see how they recover from that, knowing it's now we put it on ourselves to make this a tight one. And that's
Hmm.
that's tough to you got to change your mindset now because now next week becomes very important.
Yeah. It does.
And the way Union's playing, I mean, what they put up 50 some points.
Yeah.
It's just so. If I think next week to see how they respond, I still think they'll win, but that's going to be how they respond next week. Getting your players back ready and get back on that mentality
Now,
to get ready for 2 weeks.
and
You
let me
know,
say this. And Virginia Union's lone loss came to none other than Fayetteville State. So you
correct.
know Union wants to get another shot at the Broncos.
Oh, without a doubt. I
And
still think
because
psychologically, Fayetteville State's got something psychologically over
was
these people.
because all Fayetteville State has
Hmm.
to do is win one more, one of the last two to
And they're
seal
in the championship. And they're in the
a
championship.
championship game, which
Yeah, I, I, I,
looks
I just
very
think
likely.
that mentality, man.
Yeah,
And now they know they got that bowl at the end of the season.
yeah,
I think I agree with Ben. I think Fayetteville State, regardless, has that chip on their shoulder that he still got to come see us.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Even though I
Uh-huh.
think, even though I
Now,
think
now I must,
it's gonna be still a good game. I think it'll be a
yeah,
different game when
yeah,
Union plays them. But I
yeah.
mean, but
And I
I'm
want to
agreeing
say
with
this:
you.
Union, well, they go to Shaw next week, which is a very winnable game, but then their last game of the regular season is against the Rams. McKee, I think the Rams may have something for 'em. We gonna see for the Broncos, but nonetheless, as you said, the next week is very key because that can either keep you in it or put you out of it.
Right, and it's
And
just going to see how they respond over that. You
yeah,
got a
Yeah.
game you probably thought a game you should have won.
they thought they were gonna cruise.
Right, and now you come in hurt a little. You hurt a little bit. Your feelings are hurt a little
Hmm. Yes.
bit. So it's going to be an interesting week of practice.
It is, it is,
Yeah.
because
Uh,
they're at home,
Yeah.
and now
right.
let me say this: they lost two at home against Elizabeth City State.
I mean, that's yeah. It's
So
just
so
so
now
psychologically, it's going to be.
now
I
mind you
can't wait to that game, their game this week,
now
to
mind
see if
you
you can get those boys ready to play.
now mind you, the
Yeah.
only other game that uh Virginia State was held under 33 points was way back in the second week of the season when they beat Tusculum 21-17. Other than that, they've been putting up 33 or more. So I don't know what Elizabeth City had for their pregame meal,
I
but
think
they
it's
held
a
them to a season low 16
but
points.
but speaking on a standpoint of what did Elizabeth City State have to lose?
Yeah.
Nothing.
So they're coming in totally different mindset. And you can't, when you got somebody that ain't got nothing to lose, because right now their coaches are saying, hey, we building, we're on the right track. We keep doing what we doing, we're gonna surprise a lot of people. Keep doing what you're doing. The mindset's totally different because they're
Mm-hmm.
thinking they can play with these people. We just this, mentally, psycho, whatever, but they're thinking, ECU. Elizabeth City's coming in with a totally different mentality, and Virginia State's taking it for granted. And you can't. In
Yeah,
football, you can't take for, oh, that's a win. And
right,
I think they were
right,
already looking maybe 2 weeks
right.
down the line,
You right. Well,
and they
well,
got caught. That's why I said next week is big
Yep.
for them.
Yep.
yeah. Well, look,
But
I look. I know. We said we're gonna put it off for a later conversation, but this is homecoming season, and I do because McKee brought up a key point about Elizabeth City State while we on it, and the fact
right,
that they were looking at possibly closing. But then I see the post of these homecomings, and like I said, Benedict's homecoming look like the Million Man March. And the
right.
first question I asked, all those 10,000 people tailgating, that's outside the stadium. How many of us are paying alumni members? Because if you just pay the minimum, which is $25 for the year, right? And I got my
Right.
alumni card somewhere here. I don't, it's somewhere around here. It's well, here's a fly to renew it. But anyway, but I can't find it somewhere.
You
It's
got the
and
form with it.
and your boys weren't right doing beating that team. That they didn't have to put 60 something
yes,
points
we
up.
yes we did. Yes, we did. Listen, but no, but you know,
Look,
we need to bring this up because we're running towards the end of the show and we gotta highlight our school. But I'm just saying we need to pick that up next week. Just about the homecoming, like this should also be a time where we rally our giving. And I've been getting the emails leading up to it about the giving campaigns and stuff we have at Benedict. But I'm like, with that concentration of people, there should be no reason why we don't have that discussion. Hey, just carve out $25 of your party money that you save for this weekend to donate to a campaign and stuff. Because I look at those numbers and I'm like, how are schools struggling to have scholarships or in need? There's rumors of schools that didn't have jerseys or a set of jerseys or whatever. And it's like, man, we come in waves for homecoming and stuff like that. And like, we utilizing that time for, you know, the business of our schools. But we're gonna push that. I
I
know I
what
interrupted you. But
gotta
go ahead.
say a quick piece about that, Ben. Just real quick. Uh, Couple things, and I'll be brief. I think you really have to connect the dots between and for those who don't know, when you heard that sports psychology that was coming out of Ken Freeze, that's a 5-time state championship coach over there. So
you, need,
uh, he's
you
got
need to
North
stop.
Carolina State basketball rings. He knows what it takes to get a
uh,
team past a tough loss. He knows what it takes to ride high and get caught. So there's an expert voice right there. Seriously,
I
y'all.
wouldn't say
But
that,
but
but
yes, yes. Um, you don't sneak up on 5 rings. You don't sneak up on a conference championship. Now, having said that, so props to you for that. But he said something earlier about so there's the things you can control in life as an
Mhm.
organization, as a person, and there's the things that are out of your control. So the out of your control category could be African Americans having less money, having less disposable income, having less businesses to give money for tax write-offs for major gifts. That's out of your. I mean, we're working on it, but it's right. Right now that may be out of your
Right.
control. What can you control? You can control a word he used earlier, which is vision. You have to excite your base
Mm-hmm.
to give. You can't have just a monotone, not attempting to grow or go anywhere, and just expect that giving will maintain itself. But things like going up a division can rally, as he was saying earlier. You can excite a base several different ways, and I think that playing it safe, uh, scared money doesn't make any money, as Ken left the last show off with. If you come away from a stadium uninspired, or if the conversation with
Right.
alumni is you're not going anywhere, you're not growing. You know, giving can flatline and tank. Then when you put those aspects of life that we can't control, you got a stagnant program that starts to. Dr. Harold Martin, and I'll shut up. Dr. Harold Martin kind of took the philosophy in his administration where, and he said this. I heard him say it. He said it to a few of us in a meeting one time. He said, in the HBCU landscape, either you're growing or you're going towards a close. That may be in
Right.
the close of the institute. He said there is no middle
That's good.
ground in this next movement of higher education